swear that look on me. Still keep it up in the night, cause it's mine. This happens every time. I don't make me to be cold, but it's how I get. Me and on my back. And I burn down every damn bridge every time we get. I'm a wild, you never stops. I'm a hard case, they can't unlock. And I swear I can't lie, just not enough. Let's just say it is what it is. Was what it was. This is for my exes who don't give a shit about me. This for the next one who think they can live without me. Wake up in the sweat and never got me. I still keep it on, but in the night, this is for my exes. Sorry that you love me. Oh my God, like this story got me. I'm sorry that you love me. Oh my God, like this story. They say I wanna go, they don't wanna leave. Make another promise that I can't keep. I don't ever know what I want, but that's what you want. Be down with it, don't play me. Making it all before it starts, making it all up in my head. I just know the shit about things I know. Never stops. My case, I can't lie. It's not enough. Let's just say it is what it is. Was what it was. It's just the night. It says we don't give a shit about this sister. The next song we make it good. Without me, wake up in the sweat and never me. Still keep it up. Sorry that you love me. Oh my God, like this story about me. I'm sorry that you love me. Oh my God, like this story about me. My exes, I know that I did you dirty, little messed up, little selfish. We like married at 30, got we hooked up, then we broke up, and I said you really hurt me, but I still got your number and your necklace, kisses to my exes.
Just can't take it. Sometimes I just can't take it, and it isn't alright. I'm not going to make it. Gonna put my shoes untied. Broken record, broken record. I'm not playing right. Just so like me. Till you tell me when I have any friends all out. Hey, that's the right you say. I got my hands up shaking just to let you know that you got me. Got me singing every sing, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you got me. And she really something. Oh, boy is electric. This boy is electric and he's smiling like he was connected. Wasn't night after night after night. Joy is electric. Joy is electric and we're still getting through. I'm so happy that I'm alive. Happy I'm alive at the same time as you. God, I'm singing every sad, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you got and you fix someone. You gotta, yeah, you gotta, yeah, you gotta, yeah, you gotta, you gotta, you gotta, oh, you gotta. My hands up shaking just to let you know that you sing, sing, sing.
Right of your life, hold on, 'cause baby, I might just give you a fight. Your sweetest line, baby, we can go fast. I'll drive and you just lay back. I got the flavors of life, yeah, sweetest line. I might take you home, I might give you all. I'm with your toes, so sweetest line, ooh, right of your life, hold on, 'cause baby, I might just give you a fight.
Baby, I'm the sweetest. Who sees the mean? Yeah. Hot girl shit, but I'm cold every season. Know he got that pipe, let him got it till it sleep. Yeah. Booty like a pillow, he could use it while he sleep. Yeah. Don't be going through my phone, cause that's the old me. Ain't the only one trying to be my one and only. Real thick, moving slow, that body like cocaine. He a player, but I'm making he cutting the whole team. That body. Looking nice. I got cake and I know you wanna slice. I wish a nigga would try to put me on ice. I ain't never had to chase dick in my life. I want that nasty, that freaky stuff. Live under my bed and keep tight up. That hustling girl to let him eat me up.
Right of your life, hold on, 'cause baby, I might just give you a bite of the sweetest pie. Ooh, baby, we can go fast. I'll drive and you just lay back. I got the flavors of life, yeah, the sweetest pie. I might take you home, I might give you all. I'm with your toes. Sweetest pie, ooh, it's the ride of your life. Hold on, 'cause baby, I might just give you a bite of the sweetest pie. You got me hung up from across the room. I'm so high that I'm on another altitude. On my cloud, I got some space for you. Got a taste for you. Hey.
Bounce it out, take it up, put it down. Wanna put his lady buddy in my fudge round. Like that a bitch, he ain't had it like this. So it's feeling like they throwing gang signs on crib. One thing about me, I ain't taking no shit. He will. I know it's pissing off his old bitch. Caesar, Milan, I got his ass trained. Sorry, let a dog know who really running things.
You've never been to heaven, have you? Ooh, it's the ride of your life. Hold on, 'cause baby, I might just give you a bite of the sweetest pie. Ooh, baby, we can go fast. I'll drive and you just lay back. I got the flavors of life, yeah, the sweetest pie. I might take you home, I might give you all.
Get started.
Sweetest pie, ooh, it's the ride of your life. Hold on, 'cause baby,
And it's talking about that.
just give you sweetest pie.
I'm getting
Yes, we make love, and always just say goodnight.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. We're gonna get started. Nous allons commencer l'événement. Alors, si on peut demander aux gens de trouver leur table et de s'asseoir, ce serait bien apprécié. So, if we can get everybody finding their tables and taking a seat, that would be great. And just a reminder that for our people who need interpretation, if you need simultaneous interpretation, you can just go to the registration table and get a headset. Si vous avez besoin d'interprétation simultanée, vous pouvez vous rendre à la table d'inscription pour chercher votre casque. Alors, nous allons commencer.
This song is written and performed by two-time Juno Award winner and Dene Canadian Leela Gilday. Life unfolds around me. I can choose which path I take. Will it be darkness or a brilliant life I make? We are standing on the shoulders of giants. We are standing in the shelter of ancients. We are speaking the truth of the people. We are marching to the beat of one drum, one drum. Way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, ah. Way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, ah. Come here in many forms. Embrace the sounds you make. We'll speak here in many tongues. Join the circle with your mask down. You will see the plans you make. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. We are standing in the shelter of ancients. We are speaking the truth of the people. We are marching to the beat of one drum, one drum. Way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, ah. Way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, ah. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. We are standing in the shelter of ancients. We are speaking the truth of the people. We are marching to the beat of one drum, one drum. Way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, way, hey, ah, hey, ah.
My friends, hello. We are the O Canada A dinner show. Now, folks, here's the thing. Every time someone comes to our show, when you walk through those doors, we've got one critical, important rule. So we're gonna pretend we're there right now. And that rule is that anytime we say A, you've gotta say A back with us twice as loud. So we're gonna give it a go. Are you ready? Here we go. Welcome to O Canada A! You got it, we're ready.
All right, can I get a clap going? I have walked many a mile along the shores of Prince Edward Isle.
Placed on the ridge of the mirror machine.
Seen the waves tear and roar on the stone coast of Labrador.
Watch them roll back to the great northern sea.
From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highland, cross the prairies, the lakes to Ontario's towers. From the sound of Mount Royal's chimes out to the Maritimes, something to sing about. Something to sing about. It's something to sing about this land of ours.
Canada is the Rocky Mountains. Canada is Prince Edward Island.
Canada is a country made of love. Canada is the prairie cowboy. Canada is the Canada is a country made of love and music. From coast to coast to coast, Canada is filled with music, beaming with pride.
Canada
We're about to give you a
Sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind.
There's a world outside every darkened door where the blues won't haunt you anymore. With a brave eyed friend, the lover's son, come ride with me to that distant shore.
We won't hesitate.
To break down the garden gate.
There's not much time left today.
Life is a highway. I wanna ride it all night long.
Canada is
Something to sing about. You're blowing my way. I wanna drive it all night long.
Canada is
Something to sing about. How about a little Shawn Mendes?
You watch me bleed until I can't breathe. Shaking, falling onto my knees. Now that I'm without your kisses, I'll be needing stitches. I'm tripping over myself. I'm aching, begging you to come help. Now that I'm without your kisses, I'll be needing stitches.
I'm like a bird, I'll only fly away. I don't know where my soul is. I don't know where my home is. But baby, all I need for you to know I'm like a bird, I'll only fly away. I don't know where my soul is. I don't know where my home is. But baby, all I really need to know is
1, 2, 3.
that I'm here. I am here to remind you the best you left when you went away. It's not fair to deny me. All the cross I bear that you gave to me. You might know.
Informer, you know me, so me daddy gonna play him. Lickety bum bum pow. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P. Lickety bum bum.
I don't know the words to that one. Sorry.
1,
Okay,
2,
Liam,
3.
that's so embarrassing.
You don't know what we can find. Why don't you come with me, little boy, on a magic carpet ride? You don't know what we can see.
Why don't you share your dreams with me? Fantasy will set you free. Close your eyes and look inside of. Nothing shall take you away.
all right. Who's ready to rock at 8 in the morning? Come on. There's a neat little lass and her name is Mary Mac. Make no mistake, she's the girl I'm gonna track. Lots of other fellas try to get her on her back. I'm thinking that they'll have to get up early. Mary Mac's mother's making Mary Mac marry me.
My mother's making me Mary, Mary Mac.
Well, I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me. We'll all be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. Kayet, little yak, little da, little da. Now Mary and her mother are an awful lot together. In fact, you hardly see the one without the other. And people often wonder, is it Mary or her mother? Or both of them together I'm courting. Mary Mac's mother's making Mary Mac marry me.
My mother's making me Mary, Mary Mac.
Well, I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me. We'll all be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me. We'll all be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me. We'll all be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. Kayet, little yak, little da, little da. Mary Mac's mother's making Mary Mac marry me.
My mother's making me Mary, Mary Mac.
Well, I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me. We'll all be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me. We'll all be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. I'm gonna marry Mary for Mary's taking care of me.
Mary's taking care of me. Mary's taking care of me. Mary's taking care of me. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll be feeling merry when I marry Mary Mac. Kayet, little yak, little da, little da.
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 Something to sing about. This land of ours.
How'd they do that so quickly? All right. Wow. Oh, Canada, eh? You've already forgotten what you're supposed to do when they say A. Oh, Canada, eh? There we go. Well done. Sarah and I were going to do that exact number, so it's a little awkward. We now don't know what to do. No? No.
Speak for yourself.
That was incredible. The range of a dinner musical going on at breakfast too. That's very impressive. So it is an absolute pleasure to welcome everybody back here to Bayview Yards for the official launch of the 2026 Welcome Ottawa Week. Woo! Affectionately known to us as WOW. My name is Alan Neal, and I host the CBC radio program All in a Day from 3 to 6 on CBC. Thrilled to be returning as co-MC with the always flawlessly attired and far more intelligent than me co-host Sarah Onyango. Woo! Right, I'm supposed to mention the theme of this year, which they went overboard on punctuation in this. 200 years, many stories, one Ottawa, period.
Oui, c'est ça, c'est le bicentenaire, hein? My name is Sarah Nyango, and I'm with Rogers Television. We are here today filming this event, and it will be broadcast at a later date. And I'm also delighted to share the stage with this young man over here who really just you're too humble. Anyway, chaque année, la semaine d'accueil est un moment fort pour notre communauté et l'édition 2026 revêt une importance toute particulière alors que nous célébrons l'histoire collective de notre ville. And before we dive into our morning program, please note that today's event features simultaneous interpretation. I mentioned earlier, you can get your headsets at registration desk if you need them, parce que cet événement se fait en anglais et en français. Donc, si vous avez besoin d'un casque, à la table d'inscription. Et c'est aussi, il y a aussi des instructions d'accès en ligne. Et n'hésitez pas à faire signe à nos bénévoles qui circulent dans la salle avec les bras levés. They're here to make sure everyone can fully engage with today's proceedings.
Excellent. Not that Sarah couldn't translate the whole thing simultaneously, flawlessly anyway. So yes, we have an incredible room filled with all these energetic ambassadors and elected officials and civic, corporate, and diplomatic leaders. And as we reflect on that theme of 2 centuries of history and shared stories and song, apparently, I did not know that Snow's Informer was going to stand out so clearly in a look back at Canadian song, but it was there. It is essential that we begin by grounding ourselves in the deep history of the land. So it is my huge pleasure to invite up to the podium to lead us in our land recognition, the amazing Claudette Commanda, Algonquin Elder and Chancellor of the University of Ottawa.
Well, I'm not going to be singing or dancing for you, I'll tell you that. Wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that a beautiful way to begin the day? Again, to the great musicians and dancers, thank you for blessing us. Always a pleasure, Sarah, to see you, and Alan as well, and everyone. But before I forget, I have to say, the theme of this year's gathering is 200 years, many stories, one Ottawa. Imagine that, Ottawa, 200 years of Ottawa, all in a day, all in one day. Okay. Kwe niwichkibe de kwe. Kwe shiba. Bonjour à tous. Bon matin. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the organizers. Thank you so much for your kindness, your love, and your respect of the Algonquin people, and asking me to be here with you, to bring you greetings, to welcome you into the territory of our people. It's always a pleasure. Kani Mitch Kijigun Kinu Nidishinakaz, Kitagan Zibi Donjabon, Migwedge Niwichkiwe Dug Migwedge Kibija Yego Manongum, Migwedge Bijajig, Anishnabe Yaki O Mama Weneniwag. Mon nom c'est Claudette Commanda, je suis une femme algonquine de la Première Nation de Kitagan-Zibi. Comme d'habitude, comme toujours, je suis très fière pour donner des mots à bienvenue. Bienvenue ici à la territoire non cédé des nous ancêtres de la nation algonquine. I'm always honored and I'm always proud to welcome brothers and sisters, new friends, into this beautiful homeland of the Algonquin people. I welcome you with kindness and with love in my heart. I welcome you on behalf of the ancestors whom I come from. I welcome you on behalf of the nation that I belong to, and I welcome you with heart and soul as I stand here to represent who I am as an Anishinaabe Ikwe, to represent who I am as an Algonquin woman. So on behalf of my family, my 5 children, my 10 grandchildren, and my great-grandson, I welcome each and every one of you beautiful people to this beautiful, unsurrendered, unceded Ottawa, city of Ottawa, a city that is so beautiful, beautiful with color, and vibrant with diversity, beautiful and vibrant and rich with the vast cultures that make this city beautiful. Would you not all agree with me? And that is your prayer. That is your prayer. We come together with that one heart and that one spirit and that one voice and that one mind and that one determination. The determination is to walk together in that peace, love, and kindness, and we make that circle stronger. Welcoming Ottawa Week. Wow. I stand here before you as your friend, and I look in the audience, and I see the vast differences, celebrating those differences. And what I could say with one word, it is wow. Absolutely wow. Whenever we come together as Anishinaabe people, our responsibility is, as we greet, to always greet people with that good heart, greet people with good words. We must always ensure that people are fed, that you have, we always say, hey, mi gwech kibisha ya go manongom na madabin, giwiwisinin, kinimin na kwe. We want you to feel comfortable, to feel welcome. We give you food and drink. I don't have food to give you today or a drink, but I know that the organizers are feeding you really well and that they have good coffee for you as well and tea. But the best kind of nourishment that I could give you, or what we could give to one another, is to show that kindness, to show that love, to show that friendship, build a strong community of people, celebrate our differences, learn from one another, cherish one another, and just be who we are as what the Creator intended us to be in our identity, in our culture, in our languages, and in our way of knowing, doing, and being. And as we celebrate Ottawa 200 years, I want you to know that Ottawa has been here more than 200 years for my people, the Algonquin people. To learn all as well as the contributions that we made to the city, because we lived here. We were born and raised here, and my people are buried here. And Ottawa, Odawa, that is how you say Ottawa, Odawa. And this is a place of trade. It was always a place of trade for her people. We traded with one another as Anishinaabe people. We traded also with other nations. And now today I stand before you and I trade with you. I trade with you my love and my kindness. You trade with me your love and your kindness. Let's be one and let's show all other cities in Canada and beyond that we are wow. Wow. God bless each and every one of you. Ni buksendam minopomadzuin, ni buksendam zagieduin, ni buksendam ni bakawin. My prayer for each and every one of you and your families is that the Creator will bless you with that good heart, mino ode. Bless you with a good life, mino pomadzwin, and bless you and cherish you with a great gift of life and a great gift of love, Zagi Edwin. I love you all, my brothers and sisters. Always a pleasure to be here with you to celebrate wow, 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 because you are all wow. But I also must apologize to you that Claudette Commando must leave the building like Elvis as soon as I'm done this, because I told a good friend here earlier, she asked me, Oh, yes, and that's the other thing. I always appreciate that you have this breakfast in the same month and within the same week and within the day after National Indigenous Peoples Day. So thank you so much. As you celebrate Ottawa, celebrate one another, celebrate Indigenous peoples too as well, because we are one in that great circle that we call the medicine wheel. So again, I must say that I have to depart very soon. I'm so sorry. I don't like doing this. But as I said to my good friend, she asked me, how are you holding up with the whole month of June and yesterday at National Indigenous Peoples Days and so on? Well, I said, here's my new name. I am Claudette. Too busy, no time, Commanda. But I love you all. Take good care. Me wedge. Oh, you didn't have to do that.
It's a sound, right?
Oh, Dominic, you didn't have to do that. Love you guys. I love you guys so much. You're so good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Elder Commander, who is the Chancellor of my alma mater. I'm so proud of that. So proud of that, University of Ottawa. And for your moving, beautiful words that set the tone for today's celebration. We want to encourage everyone to amplify messages like hers and all the other messages you're going to hear this morning. So please take a look at your event program for our official hashtags. You see them? Hashtag WOW2026, obviously. And using that hashtag, we invite you to share your favorite moments, quotes, photos on social media. You can also go on Instagram at Ottawa LIP, on Facebook at OLIP-PLIO on LinkedIn, or at OLIP_PLIO on Instagram. And let's make sure that the digital world hears how welcoming Ottawa truly is. We're very grateful to the volunteers. We can have a hand for the volunteers. Yes. Who are helping amplify today's celebration through social media, and also a special shout out to them for their support. So I mentioned that Rogers TV is here capturing this event. We also have Maweja FM over there who are joining us with a live broadcast, and helping share these inspiring stories.
Claudette Command had mentioned that apparently the light was hitting me right in the center of my forehead earlier. And so I like that she takes the time to say on her way out of the building and managing so many things, gives lighting advice as well. So I'm moving over here a little bit. When I was figuring out coming here and I was explaining to my kids that, this was partially a celebration of 200 years, I said, I don't know if I should wear something in particular to sort of indicate the 200 years of Ottawa. And one of my daughters helpfully said, don't worry, you just look old already. And I was like, thank you. Fantastic. Very helpful. The OLIP is not that old, however. 2013 is when the Ottawa Local Immigration Partnership got going. To bring forward, it's my pleasure now to bring forward our official welcoming remark maker, Dominique Dennery, chair of OLIP, fluently bilingual trailblazer with over 25 years of experience leading organizations. Please welcome Dominique Dennery.
Bonjour. Alors, vous êtes bien réveillés, du bon café à manger, tout ça. C'est vraiment un plaisir d'être ici ce matin et de voir tous ces visages et toute cette belle diversité. Alors, venir après la chancelière Commanda, c'est toujours un peu difficile parce qu'elle a une façon de toucher nos cœurs, hein, et de nous rappeler c'est quoi l'appartenance, c'est quoi la communauté à Ottawa, n'est-ce pas? Love and kindness. Okay, I want to begin by welcoming the civic, institutional, community, and sector leaders who are with us this morning. You know who you are, but we're really, really happy that you've joined us. I also want to welcome, I told you in advance, Maxine, that I would welcome Maxine Eiffel, Director General of Settlement and Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. Maxine, thank you for your support, for being with us, for the federal partnership that brought us to life and that continues to make our work possible. And you're here with some colleagues as well. Thank you so much, IRCC. Donc, je veux aussi reconnaître la ville d'Ottawa, les gens de la ville qui sont ici, le leadership de l'ACI, où est-elle là-bas, les bénévoles et toutes les personnes qui ont contribué à rendre possible la semaine d'accueil à Ottawa. The relationship between OLIP, IRCC, the city, LACI, and many partners is not symbolic, it's practical, it's sustained. It's one of the reasons Ottawa continues to build its capacity as a welcoming city. À titre de présidente du PLIO, je suis très heureuse de vous accueillir au lancement de cette semaine, surtout à l'occasion des 200 ans d'Ottawa, beaucoup plus longtemps, évidemment, pour les gens qui nous ont accueillis ici, les Anishinaabe. Mais le fait qu'on veut célébrer cette ville et une histoire, et beaucoup d'histoires, mais une histoire qu'on bâtit en commun. Donc, une ville accueillante, ça ne se proclame pas, ça se pratique. It's not declared, it's practice. Ottawa has been shaped by a generation of people who came here from elsewhere, some by choice, some had very little choice. Many came wanting their children to stand on more solid ground than they had. Cette partie de l'histoire, c'est la mienne. Je suis née en Haïti. Mes parents ont quitté Haïti pendant les années François Duvalier. Saint-Phar, toi, c'est plus tard que tu as quitté, hein, c'est ça? Comme toutes les personnes qui quittent leur pays, on n'a pas simplement changé d'adresse. On a laissé tout un monde derrière nous. They came to Canada with their education, their hopes and their determination, but they also came to a country in 1960, still marked by exclusionary immigration policies and where education and experience earned elsewhere were not easily recognized. It's better, but there's still quite a bit of a ways to go. Ils ont dû s'adapter, ils ont dû reconstruire, ils ont dû recommencer. And when they finally made it, as we sometimes say, they poured everything in the children to the point where we went to every lesson, had to learn many languages, every opportunity they could find, from figure skating to ballet to anything that was available, because they really believed in education and contribution, in integration and dignity, so that we could have what they could not have growing up. Donc, je suis ici grâce à eux, grâce à mes parents. Je voulais quand même rappeler le fait qu'on est ici pour parler de gens qui ont construit cette ville. On oublie parfois que ce n'est pas simplement des contributions économiques, des gens qui payent, qui font partie de la main-d'œuvre, mais aussi que notre contribution, elle est une contribution de gens qui ont cherché et qui continuent de bâtir cette communauté. So we have helped build this country, and we continue to build this city. So that's something that we need to remind everyone, that Ottawa is also a land of immigration. Today, we also meet at a difficult time. Around the world, people are being displaced by economic, political, climate disasters, and they come here and they try to rebuild their lives. How many of you have rebuilt their lives here in Ottawa or Canada generally? So look around the room, that's a lot of folks. And the cost of living is high. The systems are stretched. Racism is still with us, and public discourse right now is becoming harder, more polarized, and sometimes more openly hostile towards immigrants and refugees. Ça devrait nous préoccuper. Ottawa, on ne contrôle pas tout d'Ottawa, but we do control the response when people come here. So we control whether we meet them with suspicion or dignity. We control whether there's pathways or not, or barriers. Nous contrôlons si l'accueil est un mot ou il devient quelque chose que les personnes peuvent réellement ressentir dans leur vie quotidienne. Est-ce que je me sens chez moi ici à Ottawa? So that's where OLIP comes in. OLIP is a collective infrastructure for practicing welcome. Le partenariat local rassemble des personnes et des organismes qui comprennent que l'intégration, ce n'est pas seulement la responsabilité du secteur de l'établissement, mais que c'est aussi ceux qui connectent à, I'll go back to English here, connecting to housing, work, education, health, public institution, community life. So it's organized. It's a city that's organized so that people can build their life here. So at the heart is our partnership council. There's members of the council here today. Donc ça, c'est plus de 80 organismes membres qui offrent l'orientation stratégique et le leadership collectif qui permettent à OLIP d'avancer. To the members of the Partnership Council, thank you. We couldn't do this work without you. And also to the member of the OLIP Secretariat, they made this all possible. I hope you'll spend a few minutes recognizing Magdalene Kuhlman Maxwell. Where are you? Are you hiding? And the Secretariat. In November 2025, we welcomed Magdalene as Director General of OLIP. Magdalene brings deep experience, strong community roots, and a clear commitment to collaborative leadership. We're very fortunate, and she's a passionate leader. We're very fortunate to have her guiding this next chapter. Thank you, Magdalene. So we have the Partnership Council, the sector tables. How many people here are part of the Partnership Council or the sector tables for OLIP? Quite a few, right? Hi. And all of those who have contributed to make this, to make welcoming more concrete. So I'll finish on Welcome Ottawa Week. I'm not going to steal the thunder from Sarah and Alan, but just to say that WOW is where the work becomes visible and human. It's where you can meet over the next 2 weeks. I was telling some people here, you can meet, and on the radio there, that there's 60 events that will happen across the city over the next 2 weeks, and it's an opportunity to listen, to meet people, to know Ottawa differently through the eyes of someone else, because belonging is built through relationships, not just slogans. And then in a moment, we'll be hearing from you, Deborah, my wonderful co-chair right here, and some guests that will talk to us about how they make welcoming real, and when it's not real, what is felt and what needs to change. And then the ambassadors. So we have some Welcome Ottawa Week ambassadors who went out of their way to welcome and to create links for people who are coming to the city. Again, Ottawa is my home. I'll end with this. Apart from a few years abroad, it's always been my home. That's pretty rare. Not everybody is from Ottawa, but those who are, you've seen it change. But is it becoming the city that we want? Are we welcoming people who are coming here with their talent, their determination? Are we making sure that our partners, our communities, people from the city continue to build an Ottawa where newcomers are not simply welcome, but they are recognized and honored? Un Ottawa où nos histoires diversifiées ne menacent pas notre unité, mais en sont la source même de cette unité. Merci beaucoup et bonne matinée.
Merci, Dominique, de ces mots touchants et thank you for the call to action about, are we living up to the welcoming reputation? And thank you also for your exceptional leadership. It takes an entire ecosystem. You mentioned the Partnership Council, you mentioned the sector tables, all the different moving parts that make OLIP what it is. And we're very proud to be able to celebrate that today. No? We're not. She's moving on. Oh, okay, sorry.
Why I'm here. I just guide her along.
See, and he said that I was the smarter one. I mean, come on. So we're going to move into the highly anticipated highlight of our morning program, the Distinguished Speaker Series Fireside Chat. And this morning's conversation features two extraordinary individuals whose work deeply reflects our theme, 200 years, many stories, one Ottawa. They bring distinct, powerful perspectives on how personal narratives shape our collective identity, culture, and social responsibility.
And we want you to vote for who does a better job. So we'll post online the place where you can go to say, who was smarter at this? As you can see, they've already pulled out the cushy chairs. That's why you know the important people are there. Sarah and I never get to sit in those chairs. We don't even know what they feel like. We don't know if those flowers are real. We don't know what any of that experience is. They keep it to the special people, including our two guests, who once again you can vote for to determine who had the best ideas. And our moderator, the OLIP Vice Chair and dedicated champion for community integration. Please give a warm welcome to Deborah Tunis.
I have some. You good?
So if you go to the farthest, that would be great. Okay. Oh, I'm going to move them around later on, but they're fine for now. I'm delighted to be back moderating this series. We've had 4 years now of the Distinguished Speaker Series. The first year we heard from Senator Andrew Cardozo, and then Danielle Bernard, and then last year we had 2 speakers, and we had Adrian Harewood, and we had Debbie Douglas of Okazi. And our speakers always challenge us to think about our community and our country in different ways. This year, Abhijit Pottar will share his journey from Mumbai via Boston to Ottawa to launch nutrition blocks and his concerns about food security for children. And Elamin Abdul Mahmoud will challenge us to think about what purpose immigration serves in Canada. From his arrival in Canada at age 12 from Sudan to his publications Son of Elsewhere and Elbows Up, and I brought my elbows up for you to autograph. Podcasts and CBC broadcasts, he has a special point of view on how we define ourselves as a nation. So thank you very much. And Abby, you're up first. Do you want to come over here? Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, everyone. Good morning. I almost didn't make it today to this event due to a conflict, a scheduling conflict. About 6 weeks ago, Magdalene called me and she said, Olive was putting together an event and they're inviting a few immigrants to come share their stories. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. A few weeks later, I met with Magdalene and her team. They told me about this OLIP event they were putting, WOW, Ottawa, Welcoming Week, Ottawa. And I had never been to this event. And they said, oh, there's going to be a series of these events. I said, sounds great. And I'll be glad to come and share my story. And then a few weeks later, I see something pop up in my email, and it was from the mayor of Ottawa. And he was hosting another event, happened to be on the same day. And I was like, I guess I'm going to miss that. But I was interested. I said, I'm going to see what that event's all about. So I clicked. And I froze because I kept staring at it. I had a tingling feeling, a little bit of a numbness when I saw my name on it. And the same feeling I'm getting today, I was like, okay. And then I saw Elamin, and I was like, oh my God, that's the guy whose radio show I enjoy. Said, great, this is going to be exciting. But somewhere deep down, I was glad that maybe there are people out there who want to hear from me and who want to hear my story, and made me feel a little bit better about the work that nutrition blocks is doing in the community. So thank you. I want to thank you, Magdalene, and the OLIP team. Thank you to the mayor's office for inviting me here to share my story. All right. So who am I? Been here about 8.5 years. Some people probably know me as the guy from the hub. Some people know me as the guy who obsessively or passionately talks about starting a school meal program. But that's who I am today. When I first came to Ottawa, people always asked me, why did you come to Ottawa? Do you work for the federal government? And I said, no. And I didn't really have a convincing answer of why I chose Ottawa. And, my talk here today made me question that, is why Ottawa? So anyways, while I was researching for today's talks, and we are celebrating 200 years of Ottawa. We're going to celebrate 160 years of Canada next year. And I was like, okay, when does this whole immigration citizenship journey started? And I was shocked that the first citizenship ceremony in Ottawa actually took place about 80 years ago in 1947, January 3rd. And Prime Minister Mackenzie King became the first citizen of Canada not that long ago. One of the gentlemen in the picture far back is Yusuf Karsh, the world-renowned photographer, and he became a citizen in 1947. That was also the year that India became independent from British in 1947. So I thought that was some kind of interesting fact there, that the story of citizenship is not that old. It's fairly new in Canada. 70 years later, can we move to the next slide? Oh, there you go. 70 years from 1947, November of 2017 is when me and my family, we moved to Canada from this beautiful city, Mumbai. That's where I grew up. So anyways, my journey in Ottawa started like most newcomers. I landed here with an equal measure of excitement, but also a lot of uncertainty. I was excited, enthusiastic, a dream of a new life in a new country, but there was also a lot of anxiety. When new immigrants, newcomers come here, not only leaving your family, your friends, your home, your street that you grew up on, but you also leave all your professional connections, your work colleagues. And here I am in a brand new country, in an empty apartment, with a lot of hope, but with a lot of anxiety. And that's how my journey started in Ottawa about 8.5 years ago. At times, it felt very, very lonely. I was frustrated. I didn't know where things were headed. It had been about 6, 7 months. I was looking for jobs, and nothing really meaningful was coming my way. And that's a story that most newcomers will share. But that was a time where I met Magdalene, who worked for WorldSkills back then. And then I met a few other organizations in that journey. And what I realized is people like Magdalene and organizations like WorldSkills and OLEP are building a village that is welcoming newcomers like myself, welcoming them to this new country, helping us settle, but helping us grow in the process. And so, people like Magdalene and organizations like WorldSkills, they became my new family. They became my new best friends in the city. They are building that village, as I said. Through that process, I realized I did not have any connections. I did not have friends. and I did not know anybody in the city. And that's where I started my networking journey. I always, whenever I meet newcomers, I always tell them, you have to go out there and you have to meet new people. Networking became my tool to make friends, build my reputation, and really build my credibility and build trust with the people. And through that process, I met so many Canadians. Many of them were newcomers. And through that journey, one of the people who had walked the immigration journey 10 years before I did trusted me and offered me my first job. And that was Yakuba, right? And that's all. That's what we newcomers need. Is we need that trust from people here, and we need that opportunity to grow. And that's what I got back in 2018. I was invited to convert the Rideau High School, which had recently been closed, and convert it into a community hub for nonprofit organization. And as soon as I got that opportunity, I jumped on it. Councillor King was one of those people before his political life. He was sat on the board of Rideau Rockcliffe, and he believed in my vision, and he trusted me, and he became an ally, not just of the Rideau Hub, but also when we started Nutrition Blocks. So we need people like Councillor King and many people who are in this room who have supported me over the last 8 years of my journey in Canada. During my work, when I started with the Rideau Hub, I met with over 200 organizations and community leaders and people from the community. I did not want to create an office building with nonprofit organization. I really wanted to create a one-stop solution for all the people in that community of Ward 13 and Ward 12. And I wanted to have organizations that no matter who you are, you entered that building and you had a solution in that building. And that was my vision. And that is what I believed in, and that is what stayed with me when I built Nutrition Blocks. I really, really believe in the power of collaboration. You know, we say 1 + 1 is 2, but I believe through the power of collaboration and collective impact, 1 + 1 could be 11. And that is, I believe, through my work at Rideau Hub, I met so many new people. And the more people I knew, I was seeing Ottawa in a different lens. I was understanding the city better. And then, what I learned is Ottawa is probably one of the smallest towns with over 1 million people in it. Ottawa started to shrink, and it started to feel like home for me at that point. But while I did that, my passion was always child nutrition. Deborah mentioned before I came to Ottawa, I had the good fortune to go complete my grad studies in the US. And I worked with the Boston Public Schools for about 6 years. I ran the school nutrition program. And that was the first time my introduction to the nonprofit world. I grew up in India with very modest, in a very modest family, and I saw poverty all around me all the time. And, I had that image of a Western country. When I came into the US, that's when I realized the issue of child nutrition and children coming to school hungry. And that's when I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to dedicate, I want to work in the child nutrition sector. And that's what I did. When I came to Ottawa, I wanted to work in the school meal program. But at the same time, I realized Ottawa really did not have that infrastructure. Canada did not have the infrastructure. Canada is the only G7 nation, only one of the 2 OECD countries not to have a national school meal program. 40,000 children in our public school systems here in the capital city are coming to school hungry every single day. And that's a problem. Anyways, I believe that is when in 2018, the seeds of Nutrition Blocks were planted. I said, if the program doesn't exist, perhaps I can use my experience and my education to change things. But I had bills to pay. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take up a job. I started with the Rideau Community Hub, settling in, made a lot of connections, build a reputation for myself as a compassionate, caring nonprofit professionals. And when things were settling in, suddenly in 2020, we were hit with one of the biggest pandemics, the COVID pandemic, right? Everything shut down. All the social service agencies were closed. And the issue was of food insecurity became a crisis. And that is where I felt maybe this is the moment that I should launch that vision I had in mind. And we started Nutrition Blocks right in the middle of COVID. What started with serving 200 meals over a weekend at one of the motels, it quickly grew into an organization that served over 1 million meals in the next 2.5 years during COVID. Thank you. Nutrition Blocks was growing. I was proud of the work that I was doing. But somewhere deep down, it was still very unsettling to me. It still bothered me that children in our schools are coming to school hungry every day. And I said, this cannot be the case. I grew up in India, and there's a small prayer that we say before every meal, and I'll recite that. It's called Vadanika Vargheta Namagha Shri Harice Sahajahavana Hote Namagheta Fukatse Jivani Kari Jivitva Anna He Purna Brahma Udarana Varana No He Jani Jay Yajna Karma. What that means is food is not just a means to fill your bellies. It's not just a means for your livelihood, but it also nourishes your mind and your soul. Offering food to someone is one of the purest form of service, and it's one way you can serve God. And with that vision in mind, in 2023, I made the bold step of becoming an entrepreneur. After 20 years working, I said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to be a social entrepreneur. I quit my job and I gave myself 1 year to grow Nutrition Blocks. Up until then, we were responding to the COVID programs, but this was the first time I wanted to create Nutrition Blocks as an organization entirely dedicated to serving children in the city. And that's where in 2023, we started with the first citywide summer nutrition program. Again, I had a lot of allies. My friend Javier is here from the city. And again, he believed in me. His boss, who's also an immigrant, believed in me. And together we launched a summer nutrition program. That program served 20,000 meals, hot meals that summer over 8 weeks. And we have not looked back. It's growing every year. In the last 3 years, we have added a school lunch program for children living in transitional housing and overflow shelters. We've also started an after-school dinner program for children and at-risk youth living in priority areas across the city. I'm very proud of the work that we are doing today. We support about 500 children every day. We serve about 10,000 meals every month. But again, deep down, I worry about those 40,000 children that are coming to school hungry. So that is my story. We are currently working on starting Ottawa's first hot lunch pilot. And my vision is in the next 5 years, I want this program to grow in as many schools as we can. 1 in 4 children living in food insecure household is a problem, but there's also a solution, is the 3 in 4 children. And we want to create a program where every child in Ottawa, when he or she comes to a public school, there is a hot meal waiting for them. So Nutrition Blocks was not built by one person. Maybe it started with a spark in one person, but it was really fueled by everyday Ottawans that were concerned about children coming to school hungry. A lot of people who open their hearts, open their minds, are donors, people with the city, councillors like Councillor King, who believe in that vision. And so for me, what I learned is a welcoming city is simply not a place that opens its doors, but one that creates opportunities for people like me to come in and contribute. So thank you very much.
Good morning. Okay, all right. I've never gotten that response before. I've never been a teacher. That's first of all, can I just say hi to the lawn section over there? Hi, you guys. How you doing? My name is Alamin Abdul Mahmoud. For a living, I host a radio show, which means I don't get out much. You know what I mean. Like this is what we're doing here. Look, in the year 2000, 226, 837,000 new permanent residents came into this country. 226,837 people. My mom and I were two of those people. I was born in Sudan. I lived there until I was 12 years old. My dad left Sudan when I was 7. And so I didn't see him again until I was 12. And so I arrived in this country. And until I arrived in this country, for me, Canada was the place where my dad was. That's really the only thing that I knew about this country. And I came here, and there was a lot of learning to do. And so much of the learning that I had to do happened through the radio. That is how I learned what this country was. I learned through listening to CBC quite often. I learned through listening to the music that was played. Earlier in the sort of montage of Canadian songs, "I'm Like a Bird" was one of them. That's me sort of sitting by the radio, trying to figure out what this country is. Trying to go like, why is this lady thinking about being like a bird? Trying to understand the meaning of this country. And I was going to tell you a lot about that, but I'm not. I'm not going to tell you about any of that, because what I actually want to talk about today is the experience of watching the World Cup. How many of you watched that Egypt game yesterday, by the way? Yeah, all right. Listen, even if you don't actually root for Egypt, you do now because I'm speaking. Root for your own country after I'm done speaking. But while I'm up here, we're rooting for everybody black, and we're rooting for every African nation. That's what we're doing. Look, one of the most interesting parts of watching this World Cup has been watching visitors reacting, whether in this country or just wherever the World Cup is being hosted. Here's a fun thing you might not know. Every team of the World Cup gets put in one camp. So like they all sort of are based in one specific city. It's kind of an under talked about aspect of the World Cup. So Scotland, for example, is currently based, like the Scottish team, their home base is Boston, which is why you see so many Scottish fans in Boston. Korea's team is based in Guadalajara. Panama's team is actually based not too far from me, based in Alliston, Ontario, out of all places. And Algeria is based in Lawrence, Kansas. And as you kind of watch the teams and you watch where their fans go, what you end up with is kind of an interesting thing that has been making news in a bunch of different ways. So maybe you saw those videos of the Scottish team descending on Boston and going to see a Red Sox game and taking over the entire stadium and just singing very loudly while people playing baseball are like, what's happening behind us? It was one of my favorite things in the world to see. I saw this one Korean journalist who kept on talking about how she's never seen Korean people behave like they're behaving in Guadalajara. They're partying with strangers. They're doing keg stands. And she was like, I've never seen Korean people do this. There's a really lovely news story about from Kansas about this kid who was saying how one of the Algerian players taught him how, because he's really hoping that Algeria is going to do something this World Cup. This young kid from Kansas learned from one of the Algerian players to say inshallah. And I love these stories a lot. And I started thinking about why I love them so much. And I think the reason for that is because they felt really familiar to me. They felt really familiar to me because what we call like a white Canadian teenager learning to say inshallah from a new Arab friend, that's a Tuesday, right? We are deeply familiar with that particular thing. The idea of people of Korean and Mexican heritage partying together, hopefully that's a Friday or a Saturday. You don't want to do that in the middle of the weekday. But the extraordinary thing about this country is that all of these relationships that I think to me are the norm here are making news in other places. They are newsworthy in other places. And so every time that I keep seeing these news stories, kind of go, that wouldn't pass the bar in the newsroom, would it? Because like that's just the thing that we are about as a country. And I think that's important. I think there's a story there that we don't think about enough. Because I think there's a story that is often told about immigration and about newcomers and what they can offer Canada. I like that story. I think about that story often, and I think that's important. I think but that's also a small part of the picture. I think the big part of the picture of this country is that we need our newcomers, and we need to figure out how to serve our newcomers better because it's part of our identity as a country. It's a much larger thing. It's not about what newcomers are bringing. It's about that's just the thing that we do in this place. I think the beauty and the essence of this country is that it's actually continuously been a story of expansion, figuring out how to make room. I think Canada is at its very best when we're sort of expanding the story of this country. And I say this like as someone who was, on the way here in the cab, passing through Corso Italia and looking at the history of Corso Italia here in Ottawa. Founded in 1900. It's relatively recent, but more recent than other Corso Italias. But when you think about that, you think about every wave of immigration that has come to this country in the last 150 years or so. The waves of immigration have actually been their own versions of expansion, right? The Italian wave of immigration, the Jewish wave of immigration, the Polish wave of immigration, the Indian wave of immigration. I was a part of a wave of immigration that included people coming from Sudan, from Somalia, and Eritrea in the late 90s and early 2000s. So when I think about the reason and the purpose for immigration, we quite often frame it in how does this country benefit? And I think what I'm increasingly frustrated by is there's a real narrowness to that. There's a real narrowness to that because it sounds to me too transactional. And it doesn't actually cohere with what I think is the history of this country, because the history of this country is just has been a story of expansion, and that's my favorite thing about it. That's all I have to say. Let's get the conversation going.
Wonderful. Is this working? Yeah. Can you hear me in the back? No. No. Okay.
Oh, try that one.
I'll try that one. Is this one? Oh, yes, this one's way better. Okay, they gave the good one to the pro. I'm delighted that you brought in the World Cup. That was wonderful. So this morning we've heard from Claudette Commanda and Ottawa about the long history of Indigenous peoples here. And we've also heard about Ottawa celebrating a milestone this year of 200 years of the city existing as an entity. There's lots of stories that we could gather in and collect in this room. We've heard a little bit from Abby this morning, but how do you see your own personal journey since arriving in 2017 intertwining with the historic fabric of this city?
Thank you. So as I said, immigrants bring different cultures. They bring their language, their food. When I lived in the US, I always heard the term melting pot, that people from all across the country, globe, came to the US and they all became Americans. When I look at Canada, I see Canada more of a mosaic where we all bring our own cultures and we all coexist. As I said, I grew up in India with a very modest background. We were not poor, but again, we pretty much a family that lived hand to mouth. We understood early on, or I understood early on, that education was the key for me to move ahead. Studied hard, got my undergrad degree. And then, I was fortunate enough to receive a full scholarship to go to grad studies in the US. I went there. I learned about the Western culture, but I also, one of the misconceptions I had was Western countries are very rich and there is no problems like we see back home in India. And that wasn't true. And again, that inspired me back in early 2000 to say, I will work in the nonprofit sector for the rest of my life. So that is what I brought to Canada when I came in. And I think that's where a lot of immigrant communities are bringing.
Thanks so much. So, Elamine, Ottawa is a city, but it's also the capital of Canada. And when you think of, and we've just been joined by the mayor. So I'm talking about the city and the country, Mayor Sutcliffe. And we're looking forward to hearing from you shortly. But right now, Elamine's going to talk to us a bit about how sharing his journey through Son of Elsewhere and then Elbows Up, how that process of sharing that, how that builds Canada.
Is this one? Yeah, all right, we're good. Look, I wrote Son of Elsewhere. It came out in 2022. And so he's had a pretty lovely life so far. I've been very grateful for the life that that book has had. It's a memoir of growing up in Sudan, then leaving Sudan, and then coming to Kingston, Ontario. That's where my dad settled. But what has been really wonderful about the book is that it's kind of connected with people in ways I really genuinely did not anticipate. People who were born here and people who were immigrants to this country who have kind of said, you know what, I see myself in this book in ways that I did not anticipate. And I think there is something to be said about the fact that we are really all these collections of stories. And what people are looking for more often than not is an invitation to share their own. That's been my favorite part. That's been my favorite part of the life that this book has had, is like all of the book events that we end up doing. People come up to me and say, I liked your book. Let me tell you about where I'm from. Let me tell you about the story of how my family got here, the story of how we ended up in this place, and also how this book ended up in my hand. And then also the second life that the book has had is that people have been sort of generous enough to share it with their immigrant friends who say, like, this is one version of what it means to come to this country. I think recognizing that multiplicity has been really helpful for me, because when I was writing it, like, you know, something about the writing process is just like, it's just you and the keyboard. It's a very sort of lonely, isolated process. But then the book has this life that is well beyond what you sort of imagine it to be. And it ends up being like, oh, so many of us sort of share some of these stories, even if we don't often invite one another to share them, you know?
So for both of you, and we may start with Abby first and then go to Elamine. At OLIP, we believe very much that a truly welcoming city isn't where people are isolated, where there is that connection, between established Canadians, newcomers, and others. So in your respective fields, in terms of mobilizing grassroots community care, or for Elamine, sparking a whole conversation with commotion on a daily basis, how do we move past that surface level of simple coexistence and build genuine, lasting connections?
Thank you, Deborah. So yeah, as I said, you know, when I said earlier, in my experience, whether it was working or converting the Rideau High School into a community hub or through nutrition blocks, I really believe it takes a village, which includes government officials, elected officials, community organizations, community leaders. It is not, we have some complex issues in the city. And the solutions are not simple, but collaboratively we can work towards it. So that is what I believe is we need more. You know, even with nutrition blocks, what we do is we collaborate with 20 plus different organizations to find solutions. It is not one solutions for everyone. Every community's needs are different. And I think you just have to be caring and compassionate when you build those solutions.
I mean, look, I part of putting together a daily radio show has been about trying to figure out what stories we're paying attention to, what stories we're not. And we have a small team of producers who sort of gather twice a week to figure out, you know, what are we going to program that week. But a large part of that has been about expanding beyond our own comfort zones, because it's very, very easy for me to sort of pitch stories that concern things that I know, things that I'm familiar with. But what's really wonderful about having such a diverse range of people in the room with us is that it forces you to sort of have to step outside of that perspective. And then you put all of those stories, on a table and say, look, I know I'm interested in this story, and this is a story that I pitched, but objectively, that story is much more important. That story is much more urgent for us to sort of turn towards that. And it's the same kind of training that, you have to develop just in terms of thinking, moving through the world, of like the idea of like the willingness to make other people's stories your story, the willingness to make other people's problem your problem. That is how you step outside of the maybe the silos that you kind of end up creating, not intending to create them, but maybe you kind of naturally exist in them. You have to sort of regularly push yourself to the edge of your own kind of understanding, so you can, so it feels very familiar, to step outside of like the stuff that you know and go like, okay, what don't I know? Where am I not looking? And that just becomes a part of the way that you live your life.
So, Abby, when you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and things, you're very much working at the front end, in terms of issues around housing, issues around basic nutrition, food security, and all of that. In terms of those foundations that you're building, do you feel that then that has a bigger impact on a sense of belonging for the individuals you're serving?
Yeah, I do. So, I'm a newcomer, relatively speaking, and what I see in Canada or what I see in Ottawa is when we build public spaces, public services, whether it's your public schools, your hospitals, public transportations, public parks, when we use police services, other services. These services are built for everybody in the city. That when you go to public school, when you go to a hospital, places of worship, you don't feel the shame. It's for everybody, everyone's accessing it. What I realize that when it comes to food services, especially serving the communities in need, there is a huge disparity on how those services are built. You know, families like us, we go to a grocery store. Families who don't have the resources, they have to stand up in line outside a building once a month to receive a box of food that somebody else is going to decide that you're going to eat, that what is good for you. Same thing with some of the day programs that we have, right? So that is how, I mean, I believe that there is a huge disparity in how some of these services are designed. Especially as a newcomer, I have seen families, there's a lot of shame using those services. These are not safe spaces. These are not dignified places. A lot of newcomers do not access them. And I've seen families make the decision, even though they know they are going hungry and their children are going hungry, they will not access those solutions. So at Nutrition Blocks, we're trying to create services that removes that barrier. I know my friend Ali is here, and he's building an excellent company that's adding, Ali, that's you. That's adding dignity on how services are provided for families, newcomer families in Ottawa. So that is what we are building.
So in terms of commotion and culture and representation, there's also an element, I mean, you talked in your remarks about expansion and Canadian identity expanding, but there's also an element of disruption in that. And how do you feel that tension between kind of disruption and expansion? How do you marry that?
But when you say disruption, what do you mean? Could I just ask you a little bit?
Well, you're challenging this kind of the status quo a bit.
I think that honestly, what I quite often find, at least with our audiences, is a willingness to come along. Like I don't experience that as a disruption so much as I think it's like a very hungry audience that wants wider stories about what this country is. And I don't think commotion is actually an exception to this. I think like in general across the CBC, the thing that we're hearing is there is a version of the CBC that used to serve a story of Canada that I'm not sure exists anymore. And so much of what's happening at the CBC is about sort of trying to broaden that definition to speak to people that we have not spoken to before. And so if there are people who experience that as a disruption, I am very grateful to be shielded from them in a sense, because I think like the thing that we experience on our team is always encouragement. And I say this as someone who like, we just had a lengthy sort of half-day meeting last week about who our listenership is and who's actually listening to the show, and the idea of like, okay, this is a range of diversity that we have sort of already have accomplished. Can we push that further? How do we actually manage to draw in people who don't think the CBC is for them? That's who I'm after. That's who the people like who I work with are after. I think there's an understanding that the CBC as an organization has existed for a long time to serve a very, sometimes can be seen as a narrowed story of Canada, but that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is that actually people like me came to understand this country through the CBC, and I don't think I'm an exception to that. And it's about being deliberate about reaching those people. And I think so to us, that disruption is very, very welcome. In fact, we only experience it as expansion.
So both of you have demonstrated exceptional leadership in your fields. And as OLIP, we're trying to play a leadership role in terms of the community and in terms of the issues that we're working on. How do you see sort of individual initiative versus collective action?
Yeah, so we at Nutrition Blocks, when we started about 6 years ago, I truly believed in the power of collaboration. I think I've spoken about it, but I really believe the public-private philanthropic partnership is the way forward. When I look at the public sector, I look, people like Mayor, the councillors, people that work with the city, who create policies where services can be offered more equitably. People can access those services. I look at the private sector, businesses, whether small, large banks, who are all offering services to people in the community. And then I look at the philanthropic sector, and I'm certainly part of the philanthropic sector. Again, what we need is we need that ecosystem where we can come in and we can offer those services. So yeah, we do need collective action there. But somewhere deep down, you also need the right vision. I think as a community leader, I would say, or a nonprofit professional, I think every one of us needs to have the right vision. Mayor Sutcliffe recently announced his vision for 2030 of ending youth homelessness. We need those visionary ideas that we can all tag on to and we can collectively work on. So I think there is both individual leadership and vision, and having that ecosystem to thrive are important.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I am the voice that people hear on the radio, but there's a gigantic team behind that voice. And so like there's at the end of the day, if I only believed in sort of individual action as a sort of way forward, I would not be very good at my job, right? Like I'm well aware of the fact that people sort of experience that and listen to that show and go, oh, there's this one person talking to me. But behind that, there is a team of producers and a team of techs and a team of video people and a team of social media people that sort of make sure that that show arrives at where it needs to arrive and finds the audience it needs to actually find. And baked into that is also how we change the conversation that we're having in this country actually does start with an individual coming to a group of people and saying, I think the story for us to do is this. I know we're looking over here, but can we look over here instead? We are fortunate to be a culture show, right? That we're an arts and entertainment and pop culture show. And part of that is a gigantic privilege because we get to engage the things that people are talking about and maybe shift their idea of who is talking about those. And that includes finding new voices to add to the collective. And we take that responsibility really seriously. It's one of my favorite parts of the job.
So does anyone in the audience have a question for our panelists? Yes. Are we doing microphones, Memo?
Can I give you this one?
Yeah, thank you, speakers. It was incredible. I have the privilege to know Abi for several years when he first started. You almost made it so simple, but I know how much you and your wife work hard. And I'm glad we finally recognized your social impact and value. But I believe there is more to come. I think in a couple of years, we will notice how much you have done for the city. Now, my question is, how can we help you?
Uh, uh, As I said, Omer, thank you for the question. Again, Omer and I met after 3 or 4 months after I landed here, and I was fascinated with his story of his immigration journey coming to Canada, Ottawa, as a refugee from Turkey. And I've always looked up to Omer and so many more people. And as I said, sometimes you just need that support. When you come in as a newcomer, you need that trust, someone to say, I believe in you. And that's all it takes sometimes for someone like me to get motivated. So I think the trust in immigrants and what they bring to this country, what they bring to this city, we are striving to make this city better. And again, I want to thank the mayor for, we work very closely with a lot of departments within the city. And I believe it's true leadership and the mayor's vision that is, in a way, having these departments reach out to organizations like me and making a difference in the city. So
And so, Magdalene, I'm looking for a cue. Should I keep going on questions, or do we want to switch to the ambassadors now? Okay, 1 or 2 more questions. There we go. Yes.
Thank you very much, panelists. I am Sam Berridge, High Commissioner for St. Kitts and Nevis to Canada, and we are very proud to be in Ottawa. This is our home, away from home. And we interact a lot with our diasporans, especially the newcomers, and they ask us a lot of questions. Now, being the face of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, we have to be careful that we do offer advice within the confines of the law. And there is a word which hangs over everybody being illegal or undocumented. You invariably will have a cousin who wants to come for vacation, and they like Canada, and they don't want to go back. They don't want to go back. They want to, how do you navigate when you give advice, knowing the benefits of immigration, diversity? The mayor speaks about this all the time, diversity, inclusion, but this must be done within the framework of the law. We don't want to give advice which encourages people to come and shack up and be a burden on the state and on organizations with goodwill like you. The churches will welcome them, yes, but at the end of the day, they have to sleep somewhere. How do you navigate that oil and water kind of dynamic? Give me your advice. Thank you.
So I'm not an immigration expert, and I will not comment on it. But as I said, we build our services at nutrition blocks. We create programs that welcome everybody, whether it's in schools, whether it's in community centers, children attending summer camps. We do not ask. We believe all children should have access to nutrition every day. And so again, we don't see immigration status. We don't see income status. Because when you have a group of children come in, sit together and have a meal together, something magical happens. So that's all I would say.
Do we have another question? Okay. Well, yes, okay, Magdalene, thanks. So now am I handing it over to Alan and, I'm handing out the gifts. Oh, even better. I love gifts.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to steal the roses for Alan's. It's real. And Sarah can have one too, because they said that.
Purchasing gifts to other people.
Oh, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Because you said you didn't get the roses.
I can use it, sure. Yeah. I've got this.
Thank you.
Put it in my hair.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll put it in later. Remember earlier when you're like, I want a rose?
I know. Yeah, that
You
was
got it?
exactly what I was thinking the whole time. Thank you so much. I'm going to treasure this for always. But thank you indeed for that conversation. What you guys bring to the table, what you do for the city, what you do for the airwaves as well, and continuing that thought-provoking ideas here today was amazing to see. Opening minds in a lot of different ways. Including this idea that there's more to a radio show than a host. I'm learning things all the time. So thank you so much, everyone, for bringing what you did today to this.
Oui, merci beaucoup pour ces perspectives, rappelant l'importance de l'écoute, de l'empathie surtout. Et nous allons bientôt commencer la cérémonie de remise des prix des ambassadeurs. Mais before that, since he did stand up, I did sort of see you in passing, High Commissioner, for St. Kitts and Nevis. If you are a representative of the diplomatic corps representing your diaspora, please stand up so that we may acknowledge you. Yes, there we go. Thank you, merci, shukran for coming to join us. And thank you for that question about immigration status and empathy. And Avaljit answered it very well. Empathy does not see your status. So that's excellent. Alors, les ambassadeurs, les prix des ambassadeurs d'accueil d'Ottawa. Since 2014, these annual awards have shone a bright light on everyday residents who embody the true spirit of hospitality. These are individuals who don't just talk about inclusion, they practice it through spontaneous, genuine acts of kindness, helping newcomers navigate the often overwhelming journey of building a new life in our city.
And I have to say, this is always inspiring to me because every time I get grumpy about this city, I come to an event like this and I see what kind of welcoming people there are. Every year, OLIP invites immigrants and refugees across Ottawa to nominate a resident who made a life-changing difference in their settlement journey. So this gets very competitive. A lot of elbows up here as well. Selection committee received almost 300 nominations, and it was difficult to choose only 5 outstanding individuals to receive the 2026 Welcoming Ottawa Ambassador Awards. So thanks to everybody who nominated someone, and even though only 5 people get the award today, all of those other 295 nominations also represent the spirit of hospitality that people in the city show every day. We give you your flowers. Our award recipients are exceptional individuals. Celebrate these contributors. If you can use the hashtag, if you're posting about this, it's hashtag #WOW2026. I realize now that with the 2-week thing, like the Welcoming Ottawa week that is actually 2 weeks, we have the opportunity to change the name to Welcoming Ottawa Fortnight. I don't know if we use the GHT, we don't have to pay the Fortnite TE people. So I think it could work, but WAF does not work as well. You can share your favorite moments and your quotes and photos on social media. You tag on Facebook as well, Ottawa LIP and OLIP-PIO on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, OLIP_PIO. Plio. You'll find them somewhere. To present these awards, it is my pleasure to welcome His Worship, the Mayor of Ottawa, Mark Sutcliffe.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. It really is a pleasure to look around this room and see so many terrific people who are invested and giving their time every day to welcoming people to our city. I look forward to this week every year. It is very, very special, and it's an honor for me to join you today. C'est vraiment un honneur de vous joindre aujourd'hui pour cette célébration. And to be doing it during Ottawa's 200th anniversary year is very special as well. This is the story of our city. We are a city of immigrants along with our Indigenous community. We are a city that has been built in partnership with a lot of people like my parents who moved to Ottawa as immigrants, who joined the city and were welcomed here. This is a narrative that is very close to my heart. And I want to thank the team at the Ottawa Local Immigration Partnership for organizing today's event, coordinating more than 50 activities throughout the week, and most especially for all the work that you do throughout the year. Because it's not just about this week, it's about the other 51 weeks of the year as well, and the great work that OLIP does throughout the year. I want to acknowledge the members of the diplomatic community who are here today, who are such a vital part of our story as well. That's one of the special things about Ottawa is we have representatives from 130, 140 countries around the world who are part of our community. I want to thank Deborah and Elamine and Abby for that great, thoughtful discussion. Great to be joined by my colleague, Ralston King, who lives and represents these values every single day in his work for his community and for our whole city. Thank you to the OLIP board led by Dominique, to the staff. We're very grateful for everything you do. To the community partners, to the members of the business community who support this great work. Thank you for what you do. And thank you to the past recipients of these ambassador awards. And congratulations to this year's recipients. Thank you for the amazing work that you have done to support newcomers to our city. This morning, we're celebrating something that can't be measured in terms of data or statistics. We're celebrating a commitment that people have made to supporting new arrivals to our city. Every one of our welcoming Ottawa ambassadors proves that making someone feel at home is not something that necessarily requires a grand gesture. It is daily support. It's reaching out in a moment of need. It is answering a question. It's offering encouragement. It's helping with a resume. It's helping make introductions and connections. These nominees don't just help people navigate a new city, they help them build a new life. They become mentors, they become friends, they become neighbors, and in some cases, they even become like family. Their kindness strengthens our neighborhoods, it contributes to our economy, it enriches our culture, and it reminds us of the kind of city that Ottawa is and that Ottawa strives to be. So to all the nominees, 300 nominees, is that right? That's amazing. 300. Maybe we should be giving out more of these awards every year rather than just 5. But to all the nominees, thank you for showing that the true spirit of Ottawa is found in people who open doors, who lend a hand, who make others feel that they belong. Et félicitations à toutes les personnes qui ont contribué à cette réussite et merci de représenter si bien le meilleur d'Ottawa. Thank you for making people feel like they belong here. That is so critically important. Thank you for what you do. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you as you come up to accept your awards. Congratulations again, and thank you to every single one of you for being part of this. Merci beaucoup.
I'm short. Thank you, Mayor Sutcliffe. I think you need to be on the stage. Yes. And thank you for your support and for ensuring that Ottawa is a welcoming city. Recently, you launched Multiculturalism Week as well and Ottawa Day. So yeah, that was great. So You will now be presenting the WOW Ambassador Awards to 5 amazing individuals in our city. And as I read each ambassador's profile, we kindly ask that the recipient remain seated. Once the full citation is read, is when I will invite you to come up and join Mayor Sutcliffe on stage for an official photograph. So don't take your award and run off. We want a nice picture of you. And we'll also ask the audience to hold their applause until I have finished reading the whole citation. Welcoming Ottawa Ambassador Kais Al-Irani, nominated by Radwan Hubaish. It took Radwan Hubaish 12 years to achieve his dream of coming to Canada. As he arrived in Ottawa with his wife and young children in February 2023, during a massive snowstorm, imagine that. He will always remember fondly one act of kindness from that first night. A stranger named Kais Alirani knocked on the door, carrying clothing, blankets, and food. In his Yemeni dialect, he smiled and said, "Welcome to Ottawa." He gave him his phone number and said, "If you need anything, call me." Now a good friend, Kais has become a mentor and source of support for the Hubaish family. They participate in activities hosted by the Friends of Yemen, a nonprofit organization chaired by Kais. Every weekend, people from the organization's 300-member WhatsApp group, yay WhatsApp, get together to enjoy nature, be active, and make friends. Like so many newcomers, Radwan misses his family back home, but he's thankful to have found a chosen family in Ottawa and that his children now call his friend Uncle Kais. Please welcome Kais Alirani. Please come on stage. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's weird. You're listening to someone talk about you and you don't realize it's you, and then you just sit there. Wonderful. Congratulations. Ensuite, nous avons l'ambassadrice accueillante d'Ottawa, Sylvie Tivierge. Ah, on attend. Je sais, on est enthousiaste, mais on attend. Et la personne qui a soumis sa candidature, c'est Ludovic Fjolfak Kemanang. Oh my gosh, are you from Cameroon? Okay, sorry if I mashed up your name. Désirant un environnement plus stable pour élever leurs 5 enfants, Ludovic Fjolfak Kemanang et son épouse ont immigré au Canada en décembre 2025 grâce au programme d'entrée express. Confronté à un marché du travail difficile, il a heureusement pu compter sur Sylvie Tivierge, conseillère en formation pour les programmes d'intégration au marché de l'emploi du Collège La Cité. 3 à 4 fois par semaine, Sylvie envoie des offres d'emploi à Ludovic et fait un suivi mensuel pour l'encourager. Elle révise son CV et l'aide à postuler. Ludovic apprécie particulièrement la rigueur de Sylvie, son efficacité, sa capacité à mener plusieurs tâches de front et le fait qu'elle évite les jeux de ping-pong téléphonique. Son aide ne s'est pas limitée à la recherche d'emploi. Elle lui a indiqué une clinique d'impôt gratuite et des magasins proposant des vêtements pour enfants à des prix raisonnables. Elle l'a aidé à trouver un médecin de famille et une garderie et elle a déniché un programme permettant de subventionner les soins dentaires de son fils. Ludovic sait que Sylvie ne sera pas satisfaite que lorsqu'il aura trouvé un emploi et lorsqu'il y parviendra, elle sera sa référence numéro 1. Sylvie, 'ti vierge. Merci. Merci, Sylvie. Our next welcoming Ottawa ambassador is Reverend Joseph Kiria, nominated by Hakeem Lubwama. When Hakeem Lubwama arrived as a refugee from Uganda in 2024, one person's support and guidance was instrumental in his successful integration. Reverend Joseph Kiria provided him with shelter at a difficult time so that Hakeem could focus on rebuilding his life in Canada. Reverend Kiria is the executive director of Stepstone House, comprised of 10 houses in Ottawa and nearby communities, which each year provide a short-term home to over 110 refugee claimants and newcomers. Joseph believed in the young engineer's potential. He provided Hakeem with the startup capital to create Chisel General Maintenance, Inc., his thriving business, which now has more than 10 employees, many of whom are immigrants. To this day, Joseph continues to mentor Hakeem and monitor the growth of the business, offering encouragement, advice, and motivation. Reverend Joseph Kiria. Thank you, Reverend Kiria. Ensuite, nous avons l'ambassadrice accueillante d'Ottawa, Hala Ben Hussein, qui a été, dont la candidature a été proposée par Daniel Mag. Il y a 7 mois, vous m'excuserez si je prononce mal votre nom. Mag ou Magué? Magué. Mag. OK, donc, non, je veux bien prononcer là. Alors, il y a 7 mois, Danielle Mag est arrivée à Ottawa avec son mari. Elle avait quitté son pays d'origine, le Cameroun, à la recherche d'une vie meilleure. Lors de son premier rendez-vous à l'infocentre du nouvel arrivant du YMCA, Danielle a été frappée par la façon dont Hala Ben-Sain, la spécialiste de l'information et de l'orientation, qui l'a reçue, l'a immédiatement mise à l'aise et en confiance. Hala a trouvé des ressources et des programmes prénatals pour Danielle, qui était enceinte de son premier enfant. En l'absence de famille élargie à Ottawa, Hala a joué un rôle essentiel pour répondre aux nombreuses questions de la jeune femme et veiller à ce que ses besoins nutritionnels soient comblés. Elle a guidé Daniel à travers de nombreux aspects de la vie quotidienne, notamment pour l'aider à comprendre les transports en commun, à accéder aux services communautaires et à se retrouver dans les démarches administratives. En attendant la date prévue de l'accouchement, le 10 août, Hala s'apprête à devenir comme une marraine pour cet enfant canadien. Bravo, Hala. Oh non, pas Hala. Non, Hala, c'est la personne qui vous a mis en nomination. C'est plutôt Daniel. Oui, Daniel Bag. Our next welcoming Ottawa ambassador is Agatha Lurch, nominated by Khadija Wahab. At a very important time in her life, Khadija Wahab, who immigrated from Algeria in April 2023, counted on her English teacher, Agatha Lurch, to truly change a stressful situation. In her acting team lead position at the Canadian Border Services Agency, Khadija's contract was coming to an end, and she would lose her job if she didn't achieve a C level in English. She had attained level B 3 times in the test, so she signed up for English as a second language twice weekly, evening classes taught by Agatha. Agatha helped Khadija in ways that went beyond simply increasing her English fluency. teaching her how to approach the exam and organize herself. Although she had a class of 35 students, Agatha took time to coach Khadija on doing mock interview simulations. She encouraged her and helped to build her confidence and English proficiency, even when she struggled. The hard work and perseverance paid off. Khadija did the exam on July 29th, 2025, met the level C requirement, and she's so thankful to her English teacher who helped her with this incredible achievement. Agatha. Oh,
Let's hear it one more time for all the WOW ambassadors, everybody. And again, we say, like, we watch what these people are doing, what the other 295 people who are nominated are doing. And A, yes, we obviously need more statuettes, but B, think about what we can all do to make the city as amazing as what they're doing right now. Thank you for the inspirations. Thank you.
and start looking in your midst for people to nominate. Now's the time. So as we look to the final portion of our morning, we want to shift our focus back to the core, the reason why we're here together, the attitude of welcome. Systems and structures are essential, but true belonging is felt in the everyday interactions, open doors, and lived experiences within our neighborhoods.
And so, to further inspire you and maybe teach you a little bit about what it takes, we're going to bring up back one of our WOW ambassadors up to the podium here. You have to get 5 of the awards before you get to sit in those chairs. You have to go to the podium today. Please welcome 2026 WOW ambassador Agatha Lurch.
Good morning, everyone. When I arrived in Ottawa more than 30 years ago, I could never have imagined that one day I would be standing here receiving the Welcoming Ottawa Ambassador Award. And I'm truly honored and deeply grateful for this recognition. Like many immigrants, I arrived carrying hopes, dreams, more than a few fears, and a very misleading first impression of Ottawa weather. 30 years later, I'm still trying to figure it out. I know, most of us. What helped me find my place here wasn't only Ottawa's settlement programs, but also the people I met along the way. People who took the time to answer my questions, explain things I didn't understand, and make me feel that I wasn't on my own, that I had a place here. They helped me navigate the many mysteries of Canadian life, including, eventually, what a double-double was. More importantly, they helped me understand that I belonged. Today, when I meet newcomers in my classroom, I often see a version of them in myself. And people finding their way in a new country, building a life for themselves and their families, navigating unfamiliar systems, and figuring out how to survive an Ottawa winter. They arrive with hopes, questions, sometimes a healthy fear of speaking English in front of a room full of strangers. But something wonderful happens over time. Strangers become classmates, classmates become friends, confidence grows, community begins to form. And before long, those people who were afraid to speak are helping the next newcomer feel welcomed at home. I've learned that sometimes the most important thing we can offer is not information or advice alone, but encouragement, patience, kindness, and genuine human connection. Over the years, I've realized something simple. Language classes are about much more than language. They're about confidence, they're about community, they're about creating a space where people feel comfortable enough to speak up and make mistakes. And sometimes laugh at those mistakes together, which we often do. Every day, I have the privilege of watching newcomers support, encourage, and celebrate one another. Seeing those connections form is one of the greatest joys of my work. This award is a great honor, but I see it as something much bigger than my own work. There are so many people in Ottawa from all walks of life who show kindness in quiet, everyday ways. Many will never be recognized, but they are a big part of what makes the city welcoming. That spirit of openness, generosity, kindness, and humanity is what makes Ottawa so special. And I feel very fortunate to be part of it. I'm deeply grateful to my students, Khadijah's here, colleagues, community partners, my family and friends who share this commitment. This award reflects all of us working together to make Ottawa a welcoming and inclusive community. Thank you for this honor, and thank you for helping create a city where people from around the world can build a new life, find a community, and truly feel that they belong. Thank you very much.
I can totally relate about the language classes being more than language class. I was an FSL and ESL teacher for 20 years, so I totally understand what you're talking about. So while we celebrate those who welcome newcomers at an individual grassroots level, we also know that creating a truly welcoming community requires systemic leadership. It requires visionary advocates who step forward to steer our institutions, tables, and community strategies toward true equity. One of the main contributors to this year's WOW launch is the LASSI, Local Agencies Serving Immigrants, a group of 11 settlement agencies who have been supporting the integration of newcomers to Ottawa for over 3 decades. Their leadership collectively has given rise to many programs and services to support thousands of newcomers in their settlement and employment journeys.
And so this morning, we want to formally recognize and celebrate some of the outgoing OLIP community leaders. They've had it with the rest of you. They're moving on. But no, these individuals have dedicated, in many cases, years and years of volunteer service and strategic expertise and unwavering passion to the issues and the programs and events like this. So to present these awards, please welcome Ms. Andrea Gardner, Associate Executive Director of Jewish Family Services and Co-Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Sector Table of OLIP, to the stage. Woo!
Oh, there's a lot more people out here than when you're sitting over there. You can't see everybody. My name is Andrea Gardner, for those who I haven't had the pleasure to meet before. I am the Associate Executive Director at Jewish Family Services, been a part of the social services sector for a long time, but for the last 15 years have had the pleasure to be involved in the newcomer and settlement communities. But I am not here to represent Jewish Family Services. Rather, I am very proud to represent a coalition of agencies, as you've already heard, that have worked together for more years than I have been at JFS, and I've been there for about 25 years. Providing a coalition that supports, advocates for, and collectively fills gaps in services for newcomers in Ottawa. Our coalition, LASSI, Local Agencies Serving Immigrants, is unique not just to Ottawa, but nationally. I almost always use our acronyms, but for all of you in the room, I am going to say each agency's name, and I hope that I don't mess it up. So, Jewish Family Services, OLIP, Ottawa Local Immigration Partnership, Catholic Center for Immigrants, CCI, Ottawa Chinese Community Services Center, OCCSC, Ottawa Community Immigrant Services, OCISO, Somali Center for Family Services, the Center for Community Settlement Support and Guidance, also known as CESOC, La Cité, YMCA, Newcomer Information Center, World Skills, and the Lebanese and Arab Social Services. So it is with pride that on behalf of Lassie, I've been invited to honor two community members, and I'd like to say friends, who have had a significant impact on our newcomer communities in Ottawa. Our first honoree is Kelly Tonner. Kelly has been a steadfast champion with OLIP, serving with distinction as my co-chair of our health and well-being sector table. In this vital leadership role, she has brought an exceptional wealth of knowledge, a collaborative spirit, and a deep and practical focus to the implementation of the Ottawa Immigrant Strategy. Her dedication to ensuring that healthcare and social systems are truly responsive to the immediate, everyday needs of newcomers has left a lasting impact on our network. Kelly, thank you for your years of invaluable service, your strategic insights, and your unwavering commitment to building a healthier, more equitable Ottawa. It has been a pleasure for me to be within your circle of colleagues after 28 years. Is there anything that I need to do? Are we doing anything? Can I hug her? Yeah. So I'm gonna like go on the stage. I'm gonna take them off. She rang well. All right. Mr. Desire. Next, we celebrate and we thank Saint Phar Desire. For anybody who has ever worked with him, Mr. Desire, as he so fondly calls himself. Recently marked a momentous milestone, retiring from CESOC after 19 years of profound, dedicated service to the community. Throughout nearly 2 decades, Mr. Desire has been a pillar of strength for OLIP, championing shared mission and lending his strategic vision to the Executive Committee. His leadership has been vital in bridging grassroots community realities with high-level systemic planning, particularly in fostering the inclusion and expansion of the Francophone immigration pathways. Mr. Desire, thank you for your exceptional devotion, your structural leadership on the Executive Committee, and for your outstanding legacy of making Ottawa a city where everybody can truly belong. That's 2. This is the second time I've spoken on his behalf. Very exciting. You have to go up on the stage for me and do something there. Okay, here's the last. And finally, we're just going to ask you to indulge us in one last. First, I would like to represent my Lassie colleagues to the stage. I see Mengus and Kathleen. I see Osiso. We've got Olep. Come on up, you. Yes. St. Phar representing Queenie. We're not all here, but this is most of us. Okay. Thank you. 2 weeks ago, we lost a pillar in our newcomer community. Mr. Abdi Karod was a bright light, a leader who had a profound impact to the newcomer community, but more importantly, to the Somali community. He was a founding member of Lassie, a quiet voice that held strength and conviction. Jewish Family Services was honored to be a mentor to the Somali Center for Family Services in their early days. And that partnership, which continues to exist today, set the important foundation of how, despite our different faiths, cultures, or backgrounds, working together, modeling collaboration and community makes a difference. Abdi did this over and over and over again with different communities, with other agencies, and in the most unlikely places. We share our thoughts with Abdi's family, of whom he was immensely proud, with the staff from the Somali Center for Family Services, and with the entire community. We have lost a friend, and so I'd like to ask for us to just take a moment of silence in honor of our friend Abdi. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing that. Abdi was a mentor of mine, and his absence is very keenly felt, especially in our Black community, because he was supportive of many different organizations. Alors, un grand merci à nos leaders communautaires sortants du Plio pour votre dévouement exceptionnel au fil des ans. Your structural leadership has laid the trails that we continue to follow today.
And thank you so much for paying tribute to Abdi as well. I think certainly when we were talking about him on the show, it's just something that rings true today. People who were bringing up memories of him were talking about the agency that he gave to them, inviting people, volunteers into a pizza party and then leaving, like just saying, figure it out. Let me know what solutions you guys come up with, and allowing people to come up with solutions and feeling that power themselves. And that's a lot of what I think certainly the ambassadors who we're talking about today and what a lot of these organizations do on a regular basis. It's not just helping other people, it's also teaching people how to find their way in Ottawa. So I know the city is going to miss Abdi a lot. They already do. To officially close the launch program and issue our collective charge for the week ahead, it is our distinct pleasure to welcome back to the podium the woman leading OLIP into its next exciting chapter. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to OLIP Executive Director, Magdalene Cohen.
Oh, what a wonderful morning. Thank you, Alan and Sarah, for being such phenomenal MCs. I've had the pleasure over the years to be here as well, and for the steady contributions you have made to OLIP over the last few years. Let us give a huge round of applause to Sarah and Alan. Thank you. On behalf of OLIP, I want to thank each and every person who is present here today at this 2026 Welcoming Ottawa Week launch event, as well as to those who are joining us virtually. I also want to thank everyone who has contributed towards WOW over the last 12 years. Let's give a hand to them. I want us to take a brief moment to tap into the collective energy of this room. Let us ground ourselves first as human beings sharing a single space with an equal sense of purpose, putting aside whatever titles, positions, or privileges we may or may not have for just a second. I want you sitting here to feel your own energy in the space and the energy of the people around you as being beautifully human. Like several speakers have alluded today, sometimes it's not about the big things we are doing. Sometimes it's us feeling inside of us and having the deep desire to connect to another human being, to create a welcoming feeling. I would like to thank Mayor Sutcliffe, who has left, to our federal partners at IRCC, who are represented here today by three wonderful people. Maxine, thank you for being here. Monica, thank you for being here. Benjamin, thank you for being here. Having both municipal leadership and our federal champions together here, and who have been coming year after year, tells something very important, that welcoming newcomers is a deeply shared civic and national priority. Would you agree with me? Let's give a hand out to them. To our newly named 2026 WOW ambassadors, congratulations. I am so happy and so honored to have met you guys during the shooting of your photos, to hear your stories, and to know that your kindness, your genuine warmth represents the absolute best of our city. While we are formally celebrating 5 outstanding people on the stage today, let us, as other speakers have said, remember there are countless everyday residents playing that exact role generously and consistently across our city. As we look at the incredible mosaic of leadership in this room, the Lassie agencies, the diplomatic community, many of you who are heads of your organizations or hold important leadership roles, it calls on us to remember that the history of our capital city is an evolving narrative that we write together. But we cannot write an honest narrative without confronting the world around us. We are currently facing incredibly complex, painful global climate. Every single day, international crises are creating intense drama and trauma and daunting, unpredictable immigration challenges for human beings. For human beings fleeing conflict, climate devastation, and persecution. Just 2 days ago, on June 20th, we marked World Refugee Day, a solemn reminder of the historic global displacement numbers and our profound legal and moral obligation to protect human dignity. And yesterday, on June 21st, we marked National Indigenous Peoples Day. As a partnership, as a collective dedicated to welcoming people to this land, we must continually ground our work in an active commitment to truth, reconciliation, and deep relationship building with the Algonquin and Ishable people who have stewarded this territory since time immemorial. True belonging for newcomers cannot be decoupled from justice for the indigenous communities. Closer home, our settlement sector is facing its own headwinds with difficult funding cuts. Our organizations are being forced to rapidly reorganize, redesign, and protect essential programs and services on the fly. We must be clear. In Ottawa, the Lassie agencies, the Lassie groups, the Lassie group is working really hard to be absolutely clear that newcomers are not going to stay without servicing and programming. Knowing the irreplaceable importance of our work is building a safe, welcoming community, and we will press forward with fierce determination to ensure that services are in place. And I want to explicitly thank IRCC for the foundational vision for creating and funding local immigration partnerships across Canada. OLIP, this one here, is one of over 100 across the country. And it's a very important framework because what it does, it is fundamentally transforming our sector by shifting us away from siloed efforts and bringing us together, not just for one activity, but for several other things. under a unified community-wide infrastructure. When I look at my own, all the stories I have heard today, Abby and Elamine, thank you for sharing your story, the WOW ambassadors. I reflect on my own, having arrived in Ottawa in 2023. This month, I celebrated 23 years in calling this city my second home. Like most newcomers, I too face all the familiar challenges, hurdles of settling into a new environment, navigating employment barriers, and trying to raise a family in a completely unfamiliar place. During these quiet moments, I wondered, would I ever be able to call Ottawa my home? Would I ever be able to feel as loved as I was, as appreciated as I was, as connected as I was to my home country? Would I be able to feel this at all in this new city? Today, after 23 years, I do. But it didn't happen by accident. It happened because of amazing human beings. People like Jean Christie, who offered me a home without me paying $1 for 1 year. She was an ambassador last year. It happened because of people like Dominique Dennery, who's sitting right here and who offered me my first gig of employment without ever asking to see a certificate, a qualification. She trusted her gut and she trusted that I was going to be able to deliver. It happened because there was organizations like World Skills and Immigrant Women's Services and a ton of people who wrapped themselves around me. And because they gave so much, I decided to give back so much to Ottawa. It was a conscious decision I made to serve the Ottawa newcomer community. And so when I hear all of the stories today, I want you to know that it takes all of us to lift each other up. It takes many hands to build a community. And I want you today to pledge your own to doing this for Ottawa. Moving forward, I want to just talk very briefly about OLIP's strategic vision. Some of you don't know what OLIP is all about. And if you want to know more, send me a message. Let's meet for coffee or lunch. I'm going to be having lots of sessions trying to explain what we want to do in Ottawa. So having stepped into the privilege of leading Ottawa just over 6 months ago, I am deeply humbled by the overwhelming wave of support from institutions and grassroots leaders alike. The message is loud and clear from everything I'm hearing from everybody. We all want to make Ottawa a more welcoming city for newcomers, refugees, everyone who is moving into our space. We all want to do that. But individual hospitality is just a beautiful spark. To keep everyone warm, we must build a systemic structural fire to sustain an Ottawa where newcomers are welcomed in every single way. We are moving forward with 3 vital strategic initiatives I want to share here. First of all, we are actively building a tightly woven partnership council across the entirety of Ottawa. If you are not yet part of the partnership council, I invite you to connect with me because we have to do it together. It's not a one-person team. Secondly, I want us to focus on a strategy grounded in the local realities of Ottawa. How do we know that Ottawa is a welcoming city? Anyone knows for sure? Put up your hand if you know for sure that Ottawa is a welcoming city. You know? You know for sure? How do you know? And so one of the priorities that we are going to be building out with OLIP in the coming year is working to develop a research network with the Carleton University, Ottawa U, and several other local researchers who are interested in joining us. And you know what I want to mention to you? Pathways to Prosperity have developed 19 indicators to show what a welcoming community is. And I believe in evidence-based research, and we are going to be undertaking research in Ottawa to find out whether our city is a welcoming city. Thirdly, we want to significantly address the systemic barriers and structural inequities by building on the transformative work that Equity Ottawa has been leading. We want to scale up these equity-informed practices to ensure that structural anti-racism oppression move towards inclusion to standard operating procedures across all municipal sectors and across all organizations. Do you think these are 3 good priorities? Good. So lastly, when we align these strategies, what we want is the blueprint of a welcoming community. And we want everyone who come in to feel it, not to be sent to 100 places to find out whether you are welcomed or not. We want a society that when I come in, the things are in place. I understand I'm being welcomed in every single place that I go to. So some things, 4 things we are looking for. We want public spaces that are accessible, that are safe, and that are genuinely inclusive for all cultures. Secondly, we want civic and political platforms where diverse voices actively shape local policy. CBC. We want to get on CBC more. We want to be on the national news. We want to hear newcomer stories more and the realities that they're facing. We want an economy that matches newcomers' skills and genuinely values global experience. We want to stop hearing the nonsense about they were not qualified, they don't have the experience, blah, 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 blah. No, they're coming in with skills. We want employers, service organizations, everyone to tap in, look deeply to remove the barrier so that the newcomer who's coming in is not waiting for 5, 10, 15 years for them to land a job. We want health, education, social services to be intentionally designed to respond to immediate everyday realities of those who are arriving on our doorstep. With funding cuts, it's challenging, we understand. But Ottawa, we are strong. We are resilient. We are going to work together to continue moving people along so that tomorrow they will be saying, we made it because we had a welcoming community at the back of us. So lastly, my call to action and some acknowledgements. My call to action to each of you this morning is to carry the grit, the focus, the immense energy that you feel in this room back to your respective sectors. Over the next 9 days, we'll be having over 50 events across Ottawa. Don't sit at home. We don't build community sitting behind our laptops. We build community when we go to the places where the people are and we engage in conversation and real dialogue with them. Take your time. Go find out where these activities are and go to at least one activity. This event that you see here today took a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and I want to thank some very special people. So first of all, I want to start specifically to recognize Nyamalola Kambanji, who we call her the Queen of Wow. Nyamalola, where are you? All right, next, I think she's coming. For my team at OLIP, Mo, Yusra, and Jean-Pierre, can you guys come up? I just want to say thank you to, it's only 4 of us at the Secretariat, and I don't know how we do all the things that we do. Come up just for people to know who you are. Yes, yeah. Yeah. All right, while we're waiting for Naimalola to get here, I also want to draw your attention to the magnificent volunteers that we have had here today. Volunteers, please stand up. Let's give a big hand of acknowledgement to them. All of our volunteers, thank you. And the volunteers who are also managing our social media. Come up, come up, come up. Stand, if you're a volunteer, I'm sorry, stand, come up, come up. The decorations that you saw on the table, last night we were here late. And the young woman who has been working, I don't know whether she's still here, Hoda, her company, Elegant Touch, spends so much time creating this welcoming environment for you. Let's give them a hand of applause. And also to Mosaic Center for the amazing breakfast that you had today. Big hand of applause for them. Come on, let's give it up. I want to tell you, this year now, we have already dated WOW 2027. And you can put it in your calendar because WOW 2027 will be on June 21 next year. All right, so get it in there. And finally, take a moment to complete the WOW evaluation. This is very important to us because your feedback will help us improve for next year. There are copies on your table, or there's also the QR code that you can just sign in. So let's move into this week with open minds, open doors, and a fierce determination to build the welcoming community that we want. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Where are the flowers, Lola? Hi, dear. We wanted to present you with some flowers. Oh, God. Okay, so we want a picture. Let's see. Let's go up here for a picture. Sorry, Sarah, back to you, you guys. We're just gonna get a
Thanks for that powerful charge, Magdalene. Yeah. So as Magdalene mentioned, our city is about to come alive with over 50 events. It's not finished yet. Sorry, it's not finished yet. I see people talking and yeah. We just quickly, we want to tell you about some of the events, the over 50 events celebrating connection, culture, and community. And we want to make sure that you don't miss a single event. And you've got, there is an official 2026 Welcoming Ottawa week calendar of events. There's cultural celebrations, community fairs, sports, tournaments, career workshops, entrepreneurship events, wellness activities, family programs, guided neighborhood tours. Welcoming Ottawa Week 2026 offers something for everyone. So while you can access the full interactive guide on the website, the Welcoming Ottawa Week website, and on the screens around the room, I want to take a moment to highlight just a few. Alan and I actually will go back and forth that are going to be happening between June 22nd and June 30th. So immediately following this formal program, there is the reception where you can mingle and chat right here at Bayview Yards Innovation Center.
Wednesday, June 24th, from 10 to 4 p.m., the Ottawa Chinese Community Service Center, OCCSC, has this full day of activities for Welcoming Ottawa Week. And so there's workshops and cultural experiences and networking opportunities. That's all going on Wednesday from 10 to 4.
And also Wednesday, there's a sporting program. It's the Ottawa Rowing Club hosting a 2-hour inclusive introduction to the sport of rowing. And just so you know, Canada is good at rowing. We have gold medals and silver medals at the Olympics and World Championships. And who knows, one of our newcomer people might add to that medal haul. So if you're curious about that, it's on June 24th at the Ottawa Rowing Club.
If instead of the rowing machines, you want to just put some walking shoes on the 26th in the afternoon, you lace up your walking shoes for the walking tour of Chinatown, so you can take in the history and the businesses and the heritage of one of Ottawa's most vibrant gateway neighborhoods.
And if you're not free during the day, in the evening of June 26th, you can attend the dinner musical entitled Celebrate Newcomers, A, happening from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And this will bring together community members for a beautiful blend of storytelling, food, culinary flavors, and live music, proudly honoring our newcomers' journeys.
And then Monday, June 29th, the hot ticket item, the Legal Rights Workshop. The settlement and legal sectors, they're hosting an interactive cultural marketplace. In all seriousness, pretty important issues being discussed, empowering newcomers with practical housing and employment knowledge as well. And that is just a small sample of what is in store. There's sports tournaments and documentary screenings and art exhibits. All of it is in that program. A huge thank you to everybody who pulled this together for this 12th. Has it really been 12 years? That's like crazy. Okay, 12th WOW launch event. So that is tremendous looking at that calendar. Everything you get to go to in the next 9 days.
Et je pense qu'il y a aussi des événements et des activités en français. Alors, vérifiez bien pour savoir lesquels. And our heartfelt thanks to our distinguished dignitaries. Your presence today underscores the vital municipal and federal partnerships that anchor the Ottawa immigration strategy. And to everyone who made the time to be with us today, thank you for your tireless advocacy, your leadership, and your commitment to making Ottawa a beacon of dignity and opportunity. So the formal program is now over, and let celebration begin. And I'm going to be snatching some of you to interview you over there for Rogers TV before I dash off.